Now, before turning his hand to comedy, Geoff Norcott used to be a teacher and valued the merits of a university education. But now he is questioning whether the student life might be the right path for his son because it's very expensive.
It is, and Geoff has been travelling the country to see if going to the university is still worth the money. It's a new documentary. He's going to tell us all about it, but let's just have a quick look.
Hiya.
Hello.
I'm Geoff. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And what are we doing today?
We're just feeding the ducks. We're Duck Society, so we do anything related to ducks.
That's the society is feeding ducks?
So basically,
Duck Society?
it just encourages you to just go out in nature and just, like, experience it.
Pretty well attended. I mean, I couldn't get this many mates out if I was getting married again. Do you think subconsciously a part of you thinks, I can't have a hangover? I cannot afford to fail at year 2 or year 3?
Certainly not year 2 or 3.
Yeah. I've got a 5-year degree course, and my maintenance loan doesn't even cover my rent.
Like, it's hard to just, like, go out and do things and not spend money. It's nice to have this where, you know, it's like £3 for the year, it's super cheap. And it's just a way to, like, socialise without spending money and stuff like that.
Geoff is here with us now. Morning.
Morning.
So, multi-million-dollar question, quite appropriately. What did you find? Is it worth the money?
Is it worth the money? Well, I suppose what that clip shows with the Duck Society, and I don't know if they showed it, but they also had a hummus society as well.
A what society?
A hummus society as well. Now, listen, I'm not saying that everyone that goes to university has to go out and rage and party, but I think that for my generation, university perhaps was a more indulgent experience. And what I found was that it's materially changed so much within a generation. It's not just the tuition fees, but it's also, you know, the cost of the maintenance loan, which hasn't actually gone up in line with inflation like other things. So the students that I spoke to, I just found like that there were quite a lot that were a bit, you know, demoralised. And there was a recent YouGov poll that said that, you know, 69% of them felt that it wasn't worth it. And obviously there are a lot of people in higher education working hard. There are a lot of degrees that people enjoy. But I suppose the film in some ways is about just acknowledging how different it is for kids going now.
And this matters in your household because your son was trying to decide, was he, whether he should go to uni?
Well, yeah, it's a slightly longer range thing. I do like to plan ahead for my son, but I was going to start a saving pot. But then also, you know, I'm a comic, I'm on the road a lot. And as a lot of people commented last night, my car, it doesn't look great. It's not a great... I mean, look, I'm not knocking the make or the model, but it's sort of like...
Time for a new one, maybe?
My wife, having seen the film, she's been in touch. She was a bit furious at the state that I allowed it to go on television in. But that was, in a way, what provoked it. I sort of thought, well, I was the first one in my family to go to university, and I was, you know, it was a very proud moment. I remember my mum sitting there bawling her eyes out, to the extent that somebody actually went and checked on her to see if she was OK. It was a very proud threshold that a lot of working-class families crossed in the 90s. But I sort of thought it was odd that, you know, having been a teacher in the Blair years, where it was all education, just as many educations as you can throw into a sentence, that I found myself thinking, well, maybe it's definitely not a good thing, but you wonder about other professions. And I've got people in my family, you know, who are a 21-year-old in my family who's earning 50 grand plus as a scaffolder. Now, obviously, that's not right for everybody, but I think that there was a period in the 90s and noughties where we sort of moved away from considering manual trades, and even we probably also maybe didn't give them enough respect.
And there's a desperate need, as we all know, for plumbers, electricians, you know, so apprenticeships and things like that are booming, aren't they, as an alternative?
There is mixed learning available, but one thing I'd say is, like, have you ever met a skint plumber?
No. Could you ever find a plumber?
Could you ever find well, they're off on holiday, you know, every third week. I mean, it sort of occurred to me that we work in this TV creative world, and it's a very exciting world to work in. But then I suddenly thought a lot of my wealthiest mates have got their name on the side of a van. And you see me there. I actually went with these lads in Hull, Ciprani plumbers, and, you know, they're training up a lot of apprentices there, and they're doing well for themselves. Obviously, money's not the only metric. And people, you know, have passion for subjects and they want to study because they love the subjects. But once you start putting maybe 20 grand a year on that cost, it's just a different decision these days than it is today. And then, you know, some of the research was, you know, astounding, really. Overall, students will still earn more in their lifetime. But for a male doing creative arts, you would earn more money in your lifetime if you went to work straight from school. So obviously, there's a net benefit overall, but that does break down by jobs, by sectors, by courses and vocations.
Do you feel that things are changing a little bit, that skills are being more valued slowly but surely again?
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case, actually. I don't know about you, but I wonder if COVID really focused the mind on that. You know, when we were in our homes, you suddenly thought, right, which jobs matter? I was sitting there, you know, writing jokes on my laptop on the couch, and I thought, I don't know, somehow this doesn't feel as important as it once did. But if my boiler went down, you know, I really valued the people that could come and do that. So it's interesting. You know, the guys that ran that plumbing firm, one of the lads, Nathan, he is, you know, very self-motivated, didn't go to university. And the other lad, Dale, you know, people will watch it, he did go to university. And together, they sort of make a really good team. And I just found that, you know, the students, one thing that people who see the film will probably find affecting is the student who's studying medicine, you know, and she's really at the sharp end of things. She's essentially getting herself in 100 grand's worth of debt. And it seems, you know, a lot of people might say, well, maybe we should make university education free again. But if you look at the two main parties, that doesn't seem to be, you know, on the cards for either of them. So in that situation, I suppose the point is maybe we owe young people a more honest conversation about the choices that they're making.
And campus life, I mean, my kids are older, university age, and you know, I can see that campus life, university life is very different today, isn't it? I think that they know they're amassing debts, so that they take it more seriously.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a stand-up...
They work harder.
They work a lot harder. You know, they're very serious, and they can't afford not to be. I mean, I used to do university gigs in the noughties, and the early noughties. They're some of the rowdiest gigs ever. And then you do them now, and there's kids sitting there drinking coffee, and then the moment the gig finishes, they're like, thank you, and then they go off, they revise, they go to bed. Now, obviously, that's a classic Gen X thing that I'm saying, is that obviously they don't have to all go away and party way into the night. But what you do sense, I guess, is there's a lot less latitude to enjoy campus life. That's not true everywhere. You know, you see in the film, I went to Sheffield, and there's loads and loads of societies and communities there. But Sheffield were a particularly good example that I'm not sure all the others were following.
I suppose if you're amassing huge debts, you want your money's worth, don't you? You want to come out with a good degree. You need to work hard to make it worth it.
Well, you do, and then there's this phenomenon of grade inflation, which I don't know if people will be aware of. I wasn't, was that, you know, from 2010 to 2020, the number of people getting firsts doubled. Now, obviously, as an optimist, I'd like to think that that's because, you know, students got a lot brighter and were working harder, and I'm sure that was the case too. But you do wonder if that is in part due to people paying for their education. And look, if I'd have been paying 20 grand a year roughly, and someone said, you got a 2-2, I might have said, I've got 20 grand here that says otherwise, actually. I'd like that one to go to VAR, if possible, if you could have another look at that. So there's definitely consequences. We've had this sort of commercialisation of the university sector that started obviously under New Labour, was accelerated during the coalition and the Conservative government. But that's been the reality for a while now. And I suppose what this film is it's an entry into the discussion, and it's a kind of stocktake of where things are now, and hopefully it starts some conversations.
Geoff, really interesting. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
Geoff's
you.
documentary, it's called Is University Really Worth It? It's available now on BBC iPlayer.